As you walk past the bare huts and the chain link fence that surrounds the camp, you feel somber, the sadness deep in your core. So much horror occurred here, so much suffering. You look around and you see some other visitors taking pictures by the entrance, smiling. You frown, wondering whether people should be allowed to take pictures in such a place. After all, this isn't a place people visit just for fun, right? The scene changes. Now you are in a local village, laying bricks for one of the many new houses being built. You wipe the sweat from your brow and you look around with a sense of satisfaction and pride. It feels good to volunteer and to help others. A couple of locals sit nearby, watching you curiously. They have been there for most of the day, and you guess that they are unemployed, one of the many jobless in the local area. A thought crosses your mind then. Could they have been the ones to help build these new homes instead of you? These two scenarios demonstrate a shift in modern travel. For decades, the quintessential holiday consisted of a sandy beach, a sun lounger, and a complete detachment from daily life and all of its woes. However, as global travel has become more accessible and our own lives more comfortable, at least in comparison to most of human history, other desires have surfaced. We want experiences that are real and touch on aspects and struggles that most of us no longer face in our daily lives. One desire is the urge to understand the darker side of human nature. Thankfully, in our modern world, many people live peaceful lives, untroubled by the horrors that have plagued much of human history. Perhaps this is why some people decide to spend their holidays traveling to destinations historically associated with disaster and human tragedy. This is often called dark tourism. Depending on your own historical points of reference, the opening scenario might have conjured images of the preserved Nazi concentration camps in Poland, the eerie radioactive ruins of Chernobyl in Ukraine, or perhaps the Chukchi tunnels in southern Vietnam, where visitors crawl through claustrophobic underground networks to comprehend the realities of guerrilla warfare. Why would someone choose to visit such places? Well, when done with respect, dark tourism can serve an important psychological and educational purpose. It ensures we never forget the horrors of the past so that we can avoid repeating them, and it allows us to see a darker aspect of human nature, which, though rarely seen in our modern lives, is still very much with us. Many of these sites also have historical significance, such as the ruins of Pompeii, where an entire ancient Roman town was covered and preserved by volcanic ash. The tragedy of what happened to the people there is inextricably bound with the amazing preservation of an archaeological site. But when do education and curiosity turn into a ghoulish fascination? Should we really turn places of tragedy into marketable tourist assets? Does that take away from the solemnity of such a site? And what does it say about us when visitors treat tragedy as a mere novelty for a holiday selfie? Perhaps instead of focusing on tragedy, you prefer to focus on life, on helping others. This leads us to volunteer tourism. This is when a traveler chooses to spend their holiday helping communities in low-income areas. At a glance, the motivations appear entirely altruistic, a desire to give back that leads to a hands-on approach to global citizenship. Privileged individuals use their time and wealth to contribute to communities facing hardship. Whether it is teaching English or other languages in an underfunded rural school, painting orphanages or hospitals, or undertaking manual construction work, it seems to represent a much better, yet equally real, facet of human nature. Yet volunteer tourism is not without issues and has faced criticism. Unskilled short-term volunteers often inadvertently disrupt local economies. By laying those bricks yourself, have you unintentionally deprived a local skilled labourer of a paid day's work? Volunteer tourism can also run the risk of reducing complex systemic, political and economic issues into a sentimental and emotional narrative, where the comparatively wealthy tourist is the hero, helping the struggling natives. Is it truly possible to separate one's ego from acts of altruism? And by aiding the material situation, could we be harming the dignity and agency of those we intend to help? These two types of tourism allow us to explore both the light and the dark sides of human nature, seeing some of the best and worst actions of humanity. But in doing so, we must also consider what aspects of our own humanity are revealed in the process. So, what do you think? Should there be strict rules about taking photos at places of human tragedy? Or is it up to the individual to decide what is respectful? If a volunteer travels to build a house or a school, would it be better to simply send money to hire local workers instead? Why? What are your reasons? Why do you think people who live safe, comfortable lives are so fascinated by visiting places associated with disaster and tragedy? Is it possible to truly help a struggling community if the volunteer is also looking for personal satisfaction or a good experience for their own life? And which do you think is more morally difficult? Visiting a place where people suffered in the past, or volunteering in a place where people are suffering now? If you like this, subscribe for more videos or read the video description for the written article and a list of vocabulary. I'm Joe Tuckwell. See you next time.